This is part 2 of our behind the scenes tour at Dark Hour, and I'm taking you guys everywhere, unrestricted access, showing you guys lots of cool stuff that we do here. And we're going to start off today here in the tech room where we keep all of our spare tech toys and things like that. And right here with me is Tiger Girl. I don't know what's up with Tiger Girl.
So Tiger Girl came to us with a big, massive pile of other toys, and she was the only one that was not completely destroyed, mangled, and gross. We started playing a game with her amongst the build crew. Where's Tiger Girl? Someone would hide it in a random spot, and then if she scared the person who found it, then they had to take it and hide it in another spot. So I stole her before someone could hurt her in anger and put her in here in a little swing, and she's been our little tech room guardian ever since.
Now she keeps the lanyards that we sometimes give customers. There's a lot of odds and ends in the tech room, so I'm just going to take you guys through some of it. We try to run this like a legitimate theater. A lot of legitimate theaters have a tech room with tech supplies. So we have all of our tapes and tie line. If you don't know what tie line is, it's basically black shoelace. And tape. We have spike tape and glow-in-the-dark tape and tons of gaff tape. We use all of that stuff. Behind me you can see all of these power cables, because when you say cables it also sounds professional and theatrical. If you say extension cord, that sounds rednecky. Don't call it extension cord. Extension cords are intended for temporary use, and that's exactly what we do with these. They go in for a show to set up an effect wherever we need it, and then they come out, and that's no different than an actual working theater. If you go backstage at any theater or playhouse, you'll see all the power cables and signal cables and stuff like that going to their lighting and their sound system. We also made sure we use all black. Something else that you'll notice in any theater setting. In the world of live entertainment, theater, and concerts, you make something black if you want it to be ignored and you want it to disappear in the dim light. And we do the same thing here. We don't have a lot of black scenery. We don't have black wall panels. The spaces that we paint black are meant to hide and to mask stuff, and that's why all of our cables are black, because we want them to hide in the darkness and blend in just like everything else. Up top here we have all of our crates for smaller items. We have power cables because lots of our lights and foggers all take the same generic power plug cable. We have LEDs. These are just some of our Gansom LEDs, which I showed you guys in the last video. Gansom DMX. Gansom IQs. These are cool because you can put a gobo in them and it projects shapes on stuff, so those are fun. This bad boy is Source 4, and this is the big old school theatrical version of that, where you could put in a gobo and it projects a shape and you can make it different colors. On nights that we're open, we actually put this one out in front of the building and we project some moving gobos up on the building to kind of draw attention and make people interested. These are our controllers right there, if you're familiar with Fright Props. Just about every single effect in the show uses a Boobox Flex. We went with those universally because they're robust and they're super easy to program, and a lot of the effects that just live in the show run off of these. But then these, like all the other gear in this room, are floaters, floating gear. So this just moves from one effect to the next, whatever we need to build for a show. We set it up, build it, we tear it down, all the elements come right back in here so that they can be used again for something else. We have motion sensors and small electric motors, all of our 12-volt power supplies, the controllers, the LEDs, almost all of it's 12 volts. We have tons of 12-volt power supplies. Your classic clamp light, pedals and push buttons. These are what we'll often use to trigger an effect in a room. And these are some heavy-duty foot pedals that will give actors. If you have actors, you know that they destroy everything. Everything that we give to an actor, we try to make idiot-proof and destruction-proof as much as possible. So this is an industrial pedal from Zorro, and so I haven't had an actor kill one yet, but I know the time will come. Arcade buttons. That's another one. Arcade buttons are built to just be abused by kids in arcades. So arcade buttons are good. And what we've done with this one is we've just mounted it in a small piece of plywood with screw holes and a short lead that we can tie into wherever it needs to go. So if we set up a temporary effect and we just need a button, we can screw that nearby or wherever the actor is and then tie it in. So there's C-clamps for some of the larger lights, lots and lots of small low voltage connections. Again, tons and tons of 12-volt work, so we have lots of little low voltage connections in here. T-lights. I don't like these because you have to turn them on and off all the time. But for a short-term basis, if we're doing a show that's only open one weekend, sometimes if we need a lot of candles in an area, it's easier to just drop down a couple dozen of these and turn them on and off each night, as opposed to wiring up lots and lots of candles. That's time consuming. Ask Andy, she'll tell you. Wago connectors. I have preached about these a lot. These are the best way to connect wires permanently or temporarily. Get them on Amazon, they're cheap. Wago lever nuts is what you want, and that's all we use for wire connecting around here. We always have batteries on hand. We have lights and we have microphones and things that require batteries, so we always have 9-volt AA, AAA, all of our various audio cables, lots of XLR cables for the stage, and we have lots of these stereo jacks. You may have one of these in your car. And these are great for connecting the boombox controllers, which is your audio source and an effect, straight to a powered speaker. So we have a handful of geyser foggers. Those float around from effect to effect. Powered speakers. We have a handful of powered speakers. We have strobe lights. There is a hazer over there. So we try to keep stuff extra as well as building things into the show. So during the busy Halloween season, if something goes down, we have a spare that we can throw in place of it and keep the show going, and then go back and fix the broken one later. And this is just our spare parts shelf. We have air regulators. We have all of our air hose when we do air fittings. We have lots of practical light fixtures like lanterns. Lantern fits in almost anywhere. So we have a lot of these that we've retrofitted with LEDs. This one was kind of sloppy. We've just covered it in gaff tape, but as bad as it looks now, you'd be surprised at what kind of stuff you can put into the dark environment in the haunt, and it looks fine because no one can see that in the shadows. So that is the tech room. Let's go in back and check out the air system. All right, we're in the back warehouse area now, and this is the air system that we have here at Dark Hour. We have two of these worm drive compressors, 1 and 2. During a show night, if one of these compressors fails and the air pressure drops below a certain point, the other one will sense it and automatically kick in as a redundancy to make sure that we never lose air pressure. Both of these compressors fill this giant tank right here, which we have nicknamed the Yellow Submarine. From there, it follows the blue pipe up into the ceiling, where it webs out over the entire building, just the same as the emergency sprinkler system. There are pipes that cover the entire building, so we can go up and tap in and just drop air anywhere we need it in the show. This keeps the noise and the energy and everything back here from that, and allows us to just plug in and have 110, 120 PSI air anywhere in the building.
This is the tech cart. It has everything we need to do our day-to-day task here, installation and maintenance. It's very messy. Haven't had a chance to clean it off, but one pivotal tool of the tech department is Dusty, our little pet. He watches over us and he makes us happy. Well, he makes me happy, and that's really what matters.
Welcome to the Dark Hour Workshop. You can see the barrels and the Christmas presents. There's just more storage up there, and then below that's where we keep our tools. And over here we have our metalworking area, and our welder fabricator does all his work over here, and this is a project that he's working on. I'm not even sure what this is. It's huge. Carpentry, drill press, all that good stuff. This is a giant mold for something that we're working on that I don't think I'm allowed to speak about yet. You'll have to come find out. But this is some of the character work that we do, is making these giant ultra-cal molds. This is the Dark Hour mold room, and you already saw the big mold in the shop, and this is another one for another project that we're working on. The shelf full of heads. These are all busts of various people that have done head busts to get sculpts made on. Paint, so much paint. More molds for masks and things like that. We make lots and lots of molds. Right now we're standing in the mold room, and we call it the mold room is because where we do most of our molding. The big stone molds I just showed you, those are created in here. There are tons and tons of videos about the mask making process. I'm not going to get into that right now. You can look those up. But we do make the majority of our own mask and costume pieces here on site. We buy very little finished product and we just make it all. So some of the stuff that we do, these are molds for our foam latex prosthetics. And these are two-part molds where you start with a positive, usually of the actor who's going to wear it. Then you have a negative of the sculpt. And you inject your foam latex in here, and the two halves go together, and you cook it in an oven for a time. And if you did it right, it comes out right, kind of like a souffle. Here's a witch prosthetic, one of the witches. So this would get glued onto the actor's face and the seams all painted in. So that's a lot of what we do is that as far as prosthetic makeup goes. Yes, we make our own prosthetics. Here's some of our latex working stuff. This whole barrel is full of liquid latex. These buckets are full of liquid latex. Everything is liquid latex. We make more masks with latex than any other medium because it's cheap and it's easy. Silicone is a lot harder to work with. Latex is a lot easier. And a lot of the times we'll do quarter mask, which is just the top part of an actor's face, or half mask, which is just the front of the face with a hood on the back. And the reason we do it that way is because the actor is only going to see you for a second in the dark. They got to pop out and scare you, and that's all it is. So you don't need all the super overkill detail that you get out of a full head silicone mask. Also, in addition to being cheaper to produce, it's a lot more comfortable for an actor to wear something like that. Tinny mold. You saw leprechauns earlier in the warehouse. We also have a lot of elf props that we made. And this is just a child-sized two-piece mold that we can inject with foam and put a wire frame in it and then have a little posable child-sized foam body. So really handy for leprechauns and evil elves. More pieces, more head molds. There's some hand molds down there on the bottom, some torso molds, prosthetic pieces. Even more of our two-part appliance molds over here. It's a bat creature that's not finished. This guy was made with the mouth cut out so that the actor can wear this but still talk, make noise, so that's kind of cool. So that's a little bit of what goes on in the mold room. A lot of times we tell people, if you ever watch the TV show Face Off, almost everything that they do on that show happens in this room at some time or another. So that's kind of cool. Welcome to the Dark Hour VIP room. The VIP ticket option is something that we offer which allows guests to come in here and kind of get an exclusive experience as well as going through the haunted house. They normally have snacks out and coffee and drinks so you can get some free beverages, and then an area just to kind of set down your stuff and hang out. And on the video screen over here, we're normally rolling some behind the scenes footage. So a lot of the stuff that I've been showing you guys in these videos, you get to see stuff like that, as well as time lapses and sometimes interviews with the build crew. In addition to getting free snacks and getting to go through the haunted house twice and getting to watch all the behind the scenes stuff, we also put VIP customers right in the middle of the action by allowing them to step into the show and scare customers. Down this wall we have 4 of these video monitors like this with buttons, and inside the show where the camera is, there is an air cannon, and it's indicated right there on the screen where it is. So a VIP customer can stand here and just hit this button and scare other people walking through the show with that air cannon. And we have had some VIP customers that went through the haunt one time and then they got hooked on this, and they just spent the rest of their VIP time scaring other people inside the show. We also have the Boo Box, which actually steps into a portion of the show, and the VIP guests are hidden behind that screen and they can scare customers as they walk by rattling the cage. and the other guests have no idea that that's not one of our people, but that's a VIP customer scaring them. So those are just some of the perks of the VIP room. All right, so thank you for joining me for part 2 of our look at Dark Hour behind the scenes. Coming up, there's going to be part 3, the final chapter. Whoa. So yeah, join me again for part 3 as we look at costuming, makeup, and some of the other cool stuff that makes Dark Hour Dark Hour.